All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Sunday night, June 28th. It is 8:30 p.m. Welcome to the main event. It's another episode of Podcast PD. This is episode 78, where we are going to be talking about professional development in the summer. My name is Chris Nessie, at Mr. Nessie on Twitter. I also host the House of EdTech podcast, and I am joined again by my two podcast compadres, AJ Bianco and the Stacey Lindis. Stacey, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you guys?
You complete us.
Oh, thanks. I took some time off and I've gotten super tan in these last few weeks. I feel like I took a vacation, but yeah, I'm happy to be back. It was kind of exciting to tweet out that I would be behind the mic tonight. And yeah,
we were happy to see that.
To see you guys.
This has been, I mean, as much as AJ and I enjoy kind of doing this, if you're not here, it's kind of like when Mr. Magoo gets behind the wheel of a car and you don't know what's going to happen. Or, I mean, he doesn't kill anybody, but hijinks and antics ensue when he's driving. So thank you for being back with us.
Yeah, I have to go back and listen to some of those episodes. I've been listening to AJ's podcast, so that's been fun.
Well, speaking of AJ's podcast, AJ Bianco is here with us tonight. What is up, AJ?
Hi, everybody. No, I'm just fine. I'm glad Stacey's back. This is wonderful. She's been in 2-week quarantine, so she's back with us now, and here we are.
Well, hold on. She was not quarantined. She didn't have COVID. Like, we can't.
I was gonna play it off.
Rumors.
You're coming from
our whole school district will have to shut down. I mean, or not. That's it. I mean, who knows with these?
Depending on the rules.
Let's just start.
No,
there.
Stacey is fine. Here she is.
Yeah, I'm here.
She needed a summer break before the summer, so here she is.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. How are your Father's Days, by the way?
I'm still a father.
Yeah, still going on.
You had a day. Did you guys have fun?
It was a blast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of like what I did today, except I had both kids with me for Father's Day. Whereas today, when I went swimming at my parents' house, I just had one.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't go anywhere.
No. I took the boys boating, like fishing and stuff. And I had the day to myself. It was like Mother's Day on Father's Day. I was like, I don't know what to do with like all of this.
How that works.
Free time.
As a father, we take the kids on Mother's Day so you get the day to yourself. And then on Father's Day, we take the kids so you get the day to yourself.
I barbecued for everybody.
I went paddleboarding. I didn't know what to do.
And then you had to do all the work. Could you imagine Jamie going out and barbecuing everything you just did for Father's Day?
She would probably rock it, but I like
that. That is so true. My husband used to do that for Father's Day.
Now, hold on. For people listening, normally the shadow is within an earshot of you. You're by yourself. Can she barbecue?
Can she barbecue?
Yeah.
Sure she could. I mean, I do all the barbecuing though. I like to barbecue. I like to cook. I do a lot of the cooking in the house.
Good man.
Stacey, how's your barbecuing skills?
They are non-existent. I think I might know how to turn the grill on. And I know that things need to be flipped and you're not supposed to mash your burgers on the grill because then all the juices fall out.
I'm glad you know that because I was watching a cooking show and the lady who's on the show, the host, pushed down the burger. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Oh no.
Was it on the grill or was it a griddle like they do with Smash Burger?
It was. Worst of all,
it doesn't matter.
It was a charcoal grill. So she pushed it down on the charcoal grill. I was like, "I can't trust you. How do you trust the chef on it? You can't trust the chef who's pushing down the burgers."
I know like the mechanics behind some of the things. I hate everything cooking. Like last night, the Doug told the boys that I was making dinner and they're like, "Cool, Mom, where are we going? Can we get Domino's?" Like that's the joke in my house. That's like wonderful. When I cook dinner, it means where are we going?
So where'd you go?
I don't remember.
After I ruined the food.
Maybe it was Friday night. I think it was Friday. We just had pizza. That's what it was. We had pizza. Yeah.
Well, since it is summer and I think whether we can barbecue or not, we all enjoy barbecue. So let me ask you guys this, and I put this out on Twitter yesterday. So you can choose one of the following: hamburger, hot dog, or fill in your choice of summer salad. What do you prefer?
You say summer salad?
Yeah, like a potato salad, macaroni salad, cucumber salad.
Oh. Yeah, things like that. Watermelon salad, which is pretty good.
Oh, wait. Is yours made with feta and arugula?
I like my watermelon salad minus arugula and feta and dressing.
Okay, so then what is your what
That's
is
just
your watermelon?
watermelon.
Oh my god.
I want it my way. But okay, so
it's
okay,
Burger
I'll
King.
start. Since you guys are struggling choosing between 3 food items, I'm a good burger guy.
You threw me off with the salad. Nobody wants salad. Any kind of salad. I don't like any kind of salad.
I think I would take the salad.
No, I'm
What
taking
kind of
burger.
salad?
It would be either my aunt's macaroni or my aunt's potato.
Same amp?
Yeah. She makes, like, when we have barbecues, she's like, what am I going to bring? I'm like, you're going to bring the potato salad and the macaroni salad. It's not even a question anymore. Like, it's just and Titi's bringing this, and like, we're done.
We are, while we're on, yeah.
Wait, AJ didn't
Words
answer
are
that.
hard.
Burger.
Burger.
Yeah, burger.
His face said burger.
Burger. I like a salad every now and then, but not when I'm barbecuing. Leave me alone.
But it's
Burger, dog,
barbecue.
burger. Burger, dog, burger.
I'm usually a burger to hot dog guy,
I can see that.
and then a good potato salad. And I can go 2 ways. My mom makes I don't know if this is a real thing, but she calls it German potato salad.
I heard of it.
So it's
Real thing.
warmer. It's got bacon. I mean,
Correct.
you should be able to put bacon in regular potato salad, but
I've never made it, but
Heard of it.
it's good.
yeah, she does it with like the red bliss potatoes
Yep.
and
And like a different oil. It's not
You know,
mayonnaise based.
Right. Skin on.
yeah, it's not mayo.
See, maybe that's why I don't like that stuff. I don't like a lot of that stuff because it's too much mayo for me.
I love mayo.
Yeah. I don't dig on mayo so much.
Mayo is the Nutella of dinner time.
I disagree.
No, I
That's gross.
do not agree with that.
That's gross.
No, maybe the Nutella of lunch. But wait, how do you dress your burgers?
Shirt and tie.
You know, shirt and tie. Like I can do it with all the fixings. You know, I'll do a little ketchup, a little mustard, lettuce, tomato, bacon if that's available. But then sometimes I'll just, whatever my cheese is, whether it's American or cheddar, go basic, some fresh cracked pepper, a little mayo on a toasted bun, both sides, just a little smear of mayo. Boom, classic burger. Stacey's face says it all.
Yeah, you put that
Yeah,
shit on
sure.
everything, huh? Oh, sorry.
I'll let that roll.
It's like Frank's Red Hot.
I'll let that roll.
That's hot.
That's all. Thanks.
So as we're starting tonight's program, and clearly we've missed each other. We are live here at podcastpd.com/live on our YouTube channel. You might also be checking in and watching us on Periscope through Twitter. If you're watching on Periscope, come over to podcastpd.com/live. You can join in the chat through the power of YouTube. And special hello to Stephanie. She is checking in on chat, and she's a burger gal. So if you're out there in the chat, or if you're listening to this on the podcast side after, let us know. Interact with us. Burger, salad, hot dog. How did it? Doctor. Oh, look, man, updated his YouTube. Dr. Dan Krynis.
Fancy. Hi, DM.
Yeah, welcome back to Stacey.
Yeah. Congratulations to you, Dan. That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll have to work Dan in to come in. We had him on previously, and we said when you're done with the whole doctorate thing, come on back and talk to us about what you discovered and wrote about. And I got to say that the coolest thing that I saw from Dan is he probably posted it everywhere, and I'm connected with Dan on most social media platforms. But I guess where he went to school, they sent him this really beautiful box that I guess had the regalia and all the things, that go with that. But the box was really cool. It was like the colors of the school. It was really cool. So
It was nifty.
Kudos to Dr. Dan Krynis. Absolutely. So it's summer. The 2019-2020 school year is over. But Stacey, since we haven't had you here in a little bit, you were back in the classroom this year.
Yeah.
After many years as a
Coach.
technology coach and PD provider. How did your year go overall? And maybe just share a little bit about, kind of how it finished up being back in the classroom, elementary school, distance learning, the whole bit.
I really entered the year with a lot of trepidation, a bit of anxiety. But there's, I probably should have focused on this a little bit more, but there was also an eagerness to put into practice so much of what I was teaching my teachers to do. that I wasn't necessarily getting to do firsthand on a regular basis. I would be in classrooms from time to time, but I wasn't always the person who was, learning different ways to implement Flipgrid and really use it in a way that was meaningful for kids, or, walking through all the weird kinks of Google Classroom and helping kids find things that are there were a couple of things that I found out about Classroom just because the Google Classroom Facebook group became so popular during our stay-at-home time, that I didn't know that I'm definitely going to implement in the fall. But I lucked out with a dream class, and I can say that I've been in the classroom for 11 years and 18 years as an educator, but in the 11 years as a classroom teacher, I've loved all of my classes, but this was definitely the class to come back to the classroom with. So they were just amazing. I would talk to them all the time about how amazing they were, how they were, just 24 of the best kids ever. And, they really meant a lot to me. So leaving them on March 15th was really just a kick in the heart, and it really, really hurt. And ending the year the way that we did was also just really painful. And this past week has been not a struggle. I don't want to say it was a struggle, but it was kind of a hollow ending to the school year. Whereas I feel like in a normal school year, you go through all of those weird phases where March is such a slog because there are no days off. And then April comes around and we were going to have a late break. So from March to April break was going to be a really tough thing. And then none of that really happened. And, by the end of the year, it's not that you're always eager to get rid of your kids. And that's not what I'm saying, but there's usually a natural end to the classroom where you've gone through those phases, right? You've had your long March, you had your spring break, they came back and they were slightly different kids. They were kids who were ready for that next classroom, that next adventure, the next group of kids that they're going to learn with. And then you come back from Memorial Day and you have that. By the time June hits, it is time. It's not you're eager to get rid of them, but it's time for everyone to move on to the next group and look back on the year fondly. And I felt like we never got all of that. We definitely had our own experiences. I cried I probably would have saying goodbye to all of them in the classroom. They just got to see me cry like you guys just did. They got to see me cry online, and that was a real struggle. And some of them really started tearing up. Some of them turned their cameras off so that they could cry privately. It was just weird. It wasn't the year, wasn't the way I expected to re-enter the classroom, and certainly not the way I expected to end my first year back. But I made the most of it. I learned, like I said, I learned a lot of really cool things about the technology that I've been teaching for so long and teaching the use of. I'm just ready to be back with kids in the fall. So I'm kind of excited that those are the orders that we have for September, that we will be going back in some capacity. I am really honest. I'll be honest with you. I'm really nervous about going back in the fall, just because I just feel like
raise your hand if you're nervous to go back in the fall, wherever you are listening to this. Yeah.
I'm really nervous about what that looks like. One of the things that happened as I was, leaving, this year and packing up my classroom, I found out that I'm changing classrooms. Oh. So the burden of thinking about what social distancing looks like in my teeny tiny classroom. Now I have a bigger than teeny tiny classroom. And so that will be
You just
nice.
mean the physical space, right? You're moving from, no. Okay.
I literally moved 2 doors away from where I am, not down the hallway. It's we have these weird hallway configurations. So yeah, I'm 2 doors away from where I was. And, but the other thing that's a real bummer is, there's just a lot of change in my district. I'm sure AJ, as an administrator, you're going through it. Chris, you're probably seeing some of it too, but just there's a lot of uncertainty as far as teacher riffing and, reduction in force, and, administrative decisions have been hard. And I'm seeing that firsthand, and I've been affected by some of that as well. So that's been really sad. And so that was then, a whole other loss in a sense, and it's been a really tough end of the school year in general. So Yeah, but I love my kids. We joked pretty much from March until June that I wasn't going to let them go, that they were going to have to repeat 5th grade and we're going to have to figure out a way to do it. And they were fine. Most of them were fine with that. I could probably count on one hand the number of kids who'd be like, peace out, Mrs. Linda, see you later, deuces, and then be on their way. But
now you taught 5th grade, so those students, do they move on to a new building next year, or does your building go past 5th grade?
No, so we ended 5th grade. So it was another heartbreak for them. Like all of the milestones that they'd been looking forward to, Dare graduation, Dare Splash, 5th grade carnival, the tour of the middle schools. And this is it. Like my district is unusual in that like they have elementary, generally K3, but my building is a 3-5. So one of the elementary schools has a K2, and then they kind of move together. So like this is the last time that they'll be together, because once you get to middle school, you move from middle school to high school together. And they didn't get to have that either. So like so much of it for them was also heartbreaking, and I felt their heartbreak. One of my crazy planners, I love him. He's like, Mrs. Linda, I have a whole plan for when the state opens up. We are going to meet, and I have a playlist, and like he had the whole thing planned, and I can't wait to make his plan become a reality. Before school let out, he was like, we can have our party now. We can have groups of up to 25. I was like, we can, but where are your parents going to go? And so when the state opens up a little bit more and I feel a little bit more comfortable with it, then I plan on meeting with them and just kind of like really saying goodbye.
That's awesome. I had a similar experience, not so much with the high school kids, because high school kids didn't get too emotionally attached to me. But, what I do with Rutgers, there are things I'd normally do at the end of the semester, like, go out to, stuff your face and, break bread with them. And they were more like, wait, we don't get to do that, especially students who I've worked with in previous semesters, who they're like, wait, Mr. Nessie, we can't go out at the end of the semester. So hopefully, as things open up and, obviously things get more comfortable, I'll also look to maybe do like a barbecue, or, in the fall, maybe do some of those things with, other classes. The nice thing though for me is, teaching 9th graders, is that when we return to school, I still get to see those kids. I like my heart broke for Joe Juba, who was the class advisor of the class of 2020.
Seniors, yeah.
And he and his co-advisor, they did so many wonderful things for this class over the last 4 years, and my heart broke for him. And I also had a connection to some of those students who, when I went back into the social studies classroom, they were some of those first kids. I had them as freshmen. So to see, that a whole bunch of them, made it out of high school was a big deal.
Yeah.
Not that I had any doubts. I worked with some really good kids.
But that is sad too. I talk about the heartbreak for like 5th grade milestones, but like those middle school and high school kids who are leaving and moving on, it's a big deal for them.
Well, and another thing, like retirees, my building had 6 people scheduled to retire before this all went down. And Joe and I were doing, like, on a Friday using StreamYard, we were doing something called the Zebra Breakfast Club, where we would go on for an hour he and I did a talk show and had people come on and things like that. So we put together a whole retirement special where we used Flipgrid, and we had people from the building send video messages, and we put it into the broadcast, and each of the retirees came on the broadcast like this. And, they kind of spoke as if we were able to have a luncheon for them, which we started doing in the last couple of years. So, I mean, just so many things didn't get to happen the way we would like to. Today, I read that here in New Jersey, the NJSIAA, the athletic governing body, if I interpreted this right, they said if you're part of the class of 2021 or 2022, they've approved an extra season of eligibility. So the example I'll give, I'll use baseball, because they talked about spring and winter sports. Okay. So let's say I'm going to graduate in the spring of 2021. Next year is my senior season. Okay. They said, if I interpreted this right, that you graduate next year. Let's say you have your baseball season next spring. You'd be eligible if you go to a community college to come back and play high school baseball the following year in the spring of 2022. And the same would be for the kids graduating in 2022 to come back in that following spring season. So you get that spring season, but they're not doing it for fall sports. I could have misinterpreted this, but I did. I read it in the newspaper, and that's how I interpreted it. I also read that here in New Jersey, there's this whole league, this super baseball tournament being put together from across the state. As I said it to my dad, so I was like, oh, it's all the dads who missed out on their kids being seniors putting together this giant state tournament, and they're doing it like the College World Series. So there's like 222 teams that are going to compete between the middle of July and the end of July to come up with this. And there's all these different sites. And the article said, the schools you can represent your school. So it's not just seniors. So it's kids who have now graduated, they're eligible, and you just can't use school equipment and you can't use school uniforms, but they're kind of tied to their school affiliate. So there'll be some type of high school baseball. It's all fields across the state of New Jersey, minor league stadiums. So there you go. High school sports talk. And AJ, spring training starts this week.
Spring training starts Wednesday. I'm very excited. Yeah. This is where I chime in. There you go. Sports. I'm back. My 60 games.
I will say this. I don't know, Stacey, I don't know how big of an NBA fan you are, but yeah. I looked at the restart schedule for the NBA, and it had all the games for the whatever weeks they're doing this, and it had, what games are on national television. And I looked at this thing and I said, wait, how are there games that are not going to be like every one of these basketball games should be nationally televised? Because there's nothing else on. Put them all. ABC, ESPN. Get it all on television. Put it on TBS. Do it like the NCAA tournament.
So what is the plan? Like, how many games are they playing?
They're going to be playing like 7 games a day at the Disney facility in
Right. I
Florida.
knew it was at Disney. Yeah.
But there's, I think there's 3 NBA size courts, and they're going to be running up to 7 games a day.
Yeah. I mean, the facility down there is beautiful. I've been there for a couple of expos for Run Disney. I've never seen the basketball courts, but it makes sense to do it in that kind of like contained entity. But 7 games, that would be like, the Olympics running, where like all day is just like NBC has like its conglomerate of all of its like broadcasting affiliates.
I would kill if these games were on NBC, but that's a whole other thing.
Why?
Because the NBA on NBC is a classic thing.
Yeah,
AJ knows what I'm talking about.
In the 90s, that's like the theme song. You can always remember it.
Sure.
Before ESPN was a thing, NBA on NBC was.
What?
Yes.
No.
Baseball's back in 2 days, Dan says. Baseball's 60 games, right? Like it's a short and condensed season.
60 games.
It's a sprint, baby.
See, I know that. Look, aren't you impressed? Like I knew that number.
Which anything can happen in 60 games, so your Met fans can actually win something.
Wait, Stacey, you're a Mets fan?
No. Just in general. Any Mets fans out there? More power to the Mets, but
I just remember when you used to go to I think BFC 530 did some Philly games, and they always happened to be playing the Mets, and you attended a couple of those.
That was because
games.
One person was a Phillies fan, and the other person was a Mets fan, so we looked for a Philly. Actually, many people were Phillies fans, and one person was a Mets fan. Eric.
Poor Eric Feldman.
The denier of the denier.
Dan is also a long-suffering Met fan.
I know who's listening. That's why I said it. Don't worry about it.
Who is?
Dan. Doctor.
Dan's a Met fan.
Doctor. We got Mets fans in our audience. I love you all. I was a Mets fan growing up until I realized that I can choose my own team and pick the Yankees. But I picked the Yankees before they were actually good. So just so you know.
Me too.
I picked the Yankees. It was 92 was my first year as a Yankee fan.
Yeah, they sucked in 1992.
They sure did.
Sure did. Which is weird because you look at the roster. Anyway, let's okay.
No, we don't need to
do that.
Stacey,
summer is here. The time is right for doing professional development in the streets.
In the streets?
In the streets.
You're really not supposed to be in the streets these days.
As long as you're wearing a mask.
There you go.
True story.
So, summer's here. Obviously, this podcast will continue through the summer every other week. We talked about the topics we're going to cover. But what else are you guys, the chat, what are we doing to get better for next school year? I mean, there's so many opportunities to learn. There's so many things to learn about. And that's before we talk about current events. But as teachers, I've been calling it on Twitter the education off season, because Lord knows we need it. But anything you guys are looking forward to doing this summer to learn, read, attend, watch, listen to?
So go ahead, Stacey.
No, you go, AJ. I feel like you're better prepared for this. I was just going to say something.
Well, I think I'm going to try to find anything I can that is going to be like a free virtual event. So that's number one. I know there's a couple out there that I've signed up for that I'm interested in. That if it's free, I'm going to try to do it, because with the virtual events, like you pop in, you pop out, no problem. I think it's really good that a lot of people are offering some
virtual
free
events, the hokey pokey of education.
The hokey pokey of education.
You said you pop in, you pop out.
Oh, got it. Sorry.
Shake it all about.
Got it. I'm with
Stacey's on board.
You completely lost me. I got to be honest with you. But no, there's definitely some good things going on. So I'm excited to jump into some of those. I think honestly, since I'm going back to work starting in July, I think I'm going to try to find as much as I can so I can offer it up to my teachers. I know that they're off in the summer and they kind of want to be off, but I think at the same time, they're going to have to plan going forward and figure out how to use technology differently than they were using the last 3 months. So hopefully any virtual event that I'm attending, I can put it back on them and invite them or share information with them. But I think that's first and foremost for me. Of course, I'll be doing the podcast thing, listening, recording, and all that. And then I have like my summer reading books that are on my night table, just piece by piece, getting through as many as I can. Unfortunately, none of them are like about this time where we need it the most, but those leadership books are coming in handy.
Good.
Well,
do you have any specific virtual events that you're going to, AJ?
Yeah. So there's one event that I'm definitely attending, and it's through TMI, and it's the Game Changer. I'll put the link in the show notes. It's called the Game Changer, and it's a virtual event. It's free. It's through Ramapo College, and TMI is the Madison Institute, which is a consulting business. So there's going to be a lot of presenters. There's going to be a lot of great presentations.
Presenters
For TMI?
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. I'm glad. I didn't know. I'm glad that you said that.
The other people involved is Jesse Lubinsky and Ready Learner One. So
Absolutely.
Jesse reached out to me, and actually I need to reach out to the two of you to see if maybe the three of us want to maybe do a session.
Beautiful. Yes, I might be presenting as well.
There you go.
but I'm attending. So
that's awesome.
Another one that I think I might attend with a virtual event is Evolving Educators. How they're doing their free virtual event this year instead of doing it in person. I didn't apply to present. I'm just going to apply to watch. So those are two off the top of my head. Plus, I got a couple of things that I'm looking at. Broody Kafale is doing a couple of things that he's putting out there. So there's some social justice, there's some SEL. I'm trying to find as many as I can that's going to help the school year.
Now, the things you're looking at, are they things that you're looking at, for lack of a better word, selfishly for you to grow, or things that you'll learn something, but you're looking more, how can I take this and turnkey it and kind of spread it around when I go back to work? Yeah,
I think it's a mix of both. I think honestly, a lot of it is selfish because I want so that I can do more with teachers. And then some of them I'm going to send out the recordings or the invitations, whatever the case may be, to my teachers so they can jump in. I know I didn't mention it, but the NJ and Jamley, as you guys like when I say it, they have a live event in Jamley. I don't like the New Jersey Association of Middle Level Education. I think it's going to be a great one. So I signed up to watch that one as well. So that was supposed to be a live event back in March, but unfortunately canceled. So I'll be jumping in to watch that as well.
Is that free as well, AJ?
Yeah, it's free. Yeah, it's free.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, I don't have the means, or nor do I want to ask right now for professional development for my school. So I'm just gonna find as many kids as I can that are free and jump in and share and take notes, and then turn it around and help other people.
That's good.
those are all good ones. One that I'm looking forward to, and I imagine it's still going to happen because I started to get some emails about it. But from Michael Matera, the Hive Summit, that's been a good one that I've really enjoyed.
I did that 2 summers ago. I remember that one. So if you got information on that one, throw that around because it had some really good ideas going forward.
I will. Yeah. I'll look for the link. I'll make sure it's in the show notes for this episode. But the Hive Summit, if you've never done it, fantastic. He has basically some pre-recorded conversations via Google Hangout or whatever the case may be, and then there's somebody who sketch notes them. There's like a Google Doc outline that goes with it, and you get your PD certificate, so you can get credit for attending. The last 2 years, I've submitted those certificates here in New Jersey, and get credit for the hours. So you certainly get that documentation. The sessions are always really powerful. Even ones in the last couple of years where I'm like, do I want to sit through this? I take the time, I sit through it. We're at 45 minutes, an hour, and I'm always blown away. So definitely, check out the Hive Summit from Mike Matera.
And I think some of the big things, we talk about the summer to do. There's also the not to do. So,
I'm intrigued. Go on.
Staying off Twitter for a little bit, I think. I've noticed some negativity, both with politics and people's ideas. I've just noticed a lot of nastiness, and I don't think that needs to be there. So I'm gonna stick to Instagram. I'm gonna stick to LinkedIn because I feel like I've been making more connections there. That's been a better place for PD for me, to be honest with you. I feel like I'm not getting out of Twitter.
When you say politics, like I don't need like specifics, but does it relate to true politics, or is it like politics in education, or
all of it? Okay. Just with the order to go back to school, there's disagreements on
that's what I was wondering.
Mask versus no mask. There's the disagreements with the election coming up. There's the disagreement with what's going on in society with racism. So you know what? I don't need it. Like, help in the way I can help, do what I can do, but I don't need to be reading that constantly and just scrolling through a feed aimlessly, looking at people being angry. Sorry. If you need me, find me on Instagram.
That makes sense, though. I mean, we have to take steps to protect ourselves from that toxicity, and there's no need to like dip your whole body in that, or even a toe.
Right. Also, Facebook. You can find me on Facebook too, because I've been joining the groups that I feel are appropriate.
Wait, so did you find a part of Facebook where there's no toxicity?
No, I'm finding groups where I'm learning from. Oh, okay. I'm finding groups that are like specific to the things that I'm looking to accomplish. So, for example, Joshua Stamper, who was a guest on the show a couple weeks ago, he started a Facebook group for his podcast, the Aspire podcast, and it's been a good group of just great conversation. I'm not looking at other people's feeds and just going there strictly to find good conversation, good PD. So that's what I'll be doing.
That's one of my favorite things about Facebook, right? Like these days, actually, for a really long time, that has been one of my favorite things. Is just going to Facebook for groups. What's going on in this group, and like
let's bring that back.
What's that?
Do we want that? I
don't know.
We're waiting for the people. We need the people to tell us. We didn't get much feedback. Who are the Facebook people that listen? So it's hard. Yeah. It's hard.
I will say, though, I don't go to Facebook groups too much for educational resources. I actually find those to be annoying.
I find it the most open conversation, though.
You know what it is? I think maybe it's the groups that I'm in, or maybe I need to be more diligent about checking them for not necessarily the people that I know who post, but the people who I don't know who post, and growing my ideas that way. I will say there's a couple of Facebook groups lately that have been somewhat rewarding, and they are educational, but some of the Facebook groups I'm in, it's very self-promoting. Like, I don't need you to drop your podcast link in this Facebook group. That's not what I'm here for. Yeah. So it's not me. It's not Chris. So I'm.
No, I understand, but I do find that there's a lot more questions and a lot more answers that go around. I feel like Facebook groups, whatever groups I'm in, are what the old Twitter chats were like.
Yes, that's my point. And like, so some of the book groups I'm in, that are also educational have been very helpful that way.
Right.
You know,
I feel like a lot of people will answer a question and like when you put it on Twitter, and Chris, we've had this conversation several times. When you put it on Twitter, sometimes it just stays there, you know. But I find that on Facebook, somebody is going to answer you, or somebody's going to follow the conversation and answer at a later time. I think that's, and again, I know Facebook is a different thing altogether right now with what's going on, and the comments that came out recently about their political means, but I'm not looking at it like that. I'm looking at it. We're talking about to grow. We're talking about what we're going to do in the summer. If I'm looking for, PD for my staff, I'm going to be in the, the curriculum group or the leadership group or the principal group. I'm finding it all over the place.
It's the communities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I get it. The PLN, right? Like that's what it's all about. Chris, are you doing other PD this summer?
Well, I'm doing this to like create the podcast. House of Ed Tech, keeps going. So I mean, I'm always reading. Again, like things like the Hive Summit. Hopefully presenting.
You said you're reading.
Like blogs.
Oh,
I listen to podcasts.
Meaningful.
I watch YouTube videos. I can read. I just don't like to read. I'm not a reader.
I get it. Audiobooks, man. I'm sure Stacey got some recommendations.
Yeah. So one of the things I've been doing this entire time that we've been home, since we aren't connecting face to face, a group of us has started a book club at school. And we've read 3 books since we've been on break. 2 of them were all 3 of them were really good books. One of them was Little Women, which I've always loved those movies, but I've never read the book. So I think all 4 of us had never read the book, but we'd seen a version of that book in movie form, except for one person who'd never seen any of it. So she went in totally blind. But one of our goals, to make it professional, one of our goals was to read a children's book, and we were going to record it so that we could record our book club conversation for our students. But we weren't feeling the book that we read. And in fact, we didn't finish it because so much happened at the end of the school year within our group that that particular book, we were supposed to talk about it, I think, last week. But we're meeting in real life tomorrow. So that'll be kind of fun on the beach for a social distancing chat. I don't even know if it's going to be about the book that we read, but it was a kid's book, which was really nice.
Just remember, if it's a book club, you can't drink wine on the beach.
What?
I said it's book club. You can't just sit on the beach and drink wine.
Sure. I won't tell you what beach I'm going to then. Anyway, we're going down the shore. We're going to chat. But one of our goals for the summer was to read a professional book for a book club and just kind of talk about like how we're going to put some of those things in practice. We didn't really come up with anything, but with all of the things that happened in the world in the last 2 or 3 weeks, which you guys have had time to like really digest. I mean, not even 2 or 3 weeks, the last like 2 months or whatever. You guys have had time to talk about it, but we talked about a couple of Black Lives Matter books that we wanted to possibly discuss. And so that's on my personal reading list to become better educated about just how to have some of those conversations with my students, how to have some of those harder conversations with my staff, as a person of color who, probably isn't recognized as someone who is a person of color, like in my staff, just what does that mean? And just kind of like, how can I be a voice for those who feel like they don't have their own, especially as 4th and 5th graders. So just taking some personal responsibility, seeing what else I can do for students in my building. And, whether they be Black, brown, children, whatever, just those conversations are hard to have in any good day. And with all the things that are going on now, they were very difficult to have online. So like, I want to be able to have those conversations, especially when we go back to school. because I think that the conversation needs to continue. So I want to be better educated. So I'm actually listening to a book now called So You Want to Talk About Race? And that one's pretty interesting. The narrator is one of my favorite narrators ever, Bonnie Turpin. She's done a phenomenal job just reading a bunch of fiction and nonfiction that I've listened to. And so like, I'm really excited that she is the voice for this book that I get to hear it from. And, that's some of it. And then, of course, those educational PD books. I know Rich Chiz and Trevor Bryan are doing some of their 4 o'clock faculty stuff. So Rich is doing, the two of them together have a 3-part series for the summer that they are doing. So if you head over to their socials, 4 o'clock faculty, if you look up that hashtag, they're starting with going rogue. And so a rogue PD. Oh my God. I don't have it right next to me. Anyway, they're starting with Rich's first book, which is about just being a rogue educator and finding relevant professional development and groups of educators who are just as passionate about learning and learning about teaching and doing it on their own time. So I'm really excited for that because I did read that as a book club when I was on the PD committee at my old school. And then they're moving on to The Art of Comprehension by Trevor Bryan, which I'm excited to reread. And then Secret Sauce, which like you can see my copy here. That's the 3rd book that they're doing. And it's kind of like beat up and chewed on. And you can see like I've got like pages highlighted and stuff. I was reading this when I started 75 Hard, beginning of our time at home. And so I'll reread it and take part in some of those professional conversations. So unlike you, AJ, I will be moving into Twitter, hopefully a little bit more. All of that starts on July 6th. So I'm kind of looking forward to a week where I can just read on my own. I hopefully will be catching up on some podcast listening. Although a lot of that hasn't necessarily been education-based either. Although I really do want to get back into some of my some of the more thought-provoking ones that, like truly love Jennifer Gonzalez and Cold Pedagogy. I always find that I walk away from there thinking like, and, take some of your recommendations. I'll be listening to you, AJ, doing the homework. And to you, Chris, catching up because I'm way behind. But that's it. Like I just catching up and doing the work. And just also continuing to read for fun because for me, that is a good time. Yeah. But I don't have any conferences on my radar. But I think just because this year for me wasn't about conferences and I feel like I learned a lot anyway. Oh, and then the last thing that I'm going to be doing next year, I'll be part of a special ed partnership. So I'll be the inclusion gen ed teacher in a special ed classroom. And I'm really excited for that. So part of my my own personal / professional learning this summer is going to be to learn how to find a teaching partnership style that works. Like, what does it look like when you have a co-teacher in a classroom? And that's actually going to be my area of focus for my alternate eval for the 2020-2021 school year.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, with that, either on the show or in regular conversation, I'll be happy to share my thoughts because I've been working with inclusion teachers forever, and I have my view of that. And I probably hinted at it before on here, but if you want to have a conversation, I'd be happy to share my experiences and best practices.
That would be great. I mean, maybe we could dedicate a whole show to it after I do some reading. Sorry, dropped my mic. But I've never had a co-teaching experience. I've never had a co-teaching experience outside of being a cooperating teacher, which was not my favorite thing in the entire world. And hopefully this will be a much more successful partnership. But I know there's so many different models for co-teaching. So I want to explore them and then have a really thoughtful conversation with my co-teacher and see what we come up with together. She definitely has more experience in this area of co-teaching than I do.
And actually, since you mentioned podcast listening, and you probably haven't listened to the last couple of these episodes, which is okay. Were you aware that Simon Sinek has a podcast?
I saw AJ tweet about that or something. It came up somewhere. Maybe AJ didn't tweet about it.
I got Chris's recommendation. I listened to a bunch of them, and I probably threw it up on my Instagram or Twitter or something like that as a currently listening to. Yeah, that was all Chris. Like, he got me on that one.
Okay. I just listened to his episode
walking
on
in New York City with Maria Shriver.
Oh yeah.
I didn't listen to that one yet.
Well, this doesn't spoil it, but they're walking down some street in New York City and they're arguing with each other. It's phenomenal.
All right. I do like him. I just listened to him on How I Built This. Guy Raz has been doing this whole like how I built resilience during this whole stay at home. He's like bringing back guests that he's had, and they're a lot shorter, but that was a really good interview.
On How I Built This?
Yeah.
Check that out.
Yep. They're yeah, it's outside of the normal. I think he's dropping like 2 or 3 episodes a week now. Or he was.
Because what else are we doing, right?
Seriously.
I mean, he gave up the TED radio hour, so I feel like he has a lot more time on his hands.
Yeah.
So, Chris,
we should drop episodes 5 days a week.
Yeah. So, Chris, what's your go-to? What's your go-to PD for the summer? I know you. So you said you're going to be reading and listening to a lot of podcasts and doing the webinar thing. So, what are you most looking forward to? Is it the reading?
I'm looking forward to listening to podcasts. Shut up.
I have to say, I laughed when you said you were reading this summer too. I was like, what are you going to read?
Only because it's documented. He says, I don't read. You listen. You listen. You are a listener. You are an auditory and visual learner, and you do not like.
I thought you were referring to something else, but okay. No, I don't read books, but I'll read blog posts. I'll go to websites. I'll read about technology. Again, when I'm assembling stuff for House of Ed Tech, I go and learn stuff. I read tutorials. I watch stuff. I listen to stuff. I got to read the directions on some stuff. Like earlier in the spring, I was messing around with Blender, which is an app where you can do like 3D design, but I've never done that before. So what are you laughing at?
I thought you meant the blender. I was like, what's so hard about that?
I was like, you don't know how to use the blender?
Circles.
Put the thing on.
Blender is a powerful free program where you can do 3D design, you can do animation, you can do graphic design, vector design. So it's a very powerful, free, open source piece of software. So I was learning to do some stuff on a 3D printer. So I actually designed it looks like, it's as big as an Olympic medal, but I'm calling it a House of Ed Tech coin that I can 3D print that's got the House of Ed Tech logo on it. And then I use the chrome spray paint. So I'm going to make some House of Ed Tech coins and maybe give them away, all some supporter type stuff, whatever the case may be.
I'll take one.
I had to learn how to do some 3D design. So that's an example where I had to read stuff, get off my back.
I'm just busting chopping. That's what I do on this show. If I can't bring any value, I just make fun of people.
Speaking of value, what's coming up on Reflect Ed there, Chief?
Well, next episode will drop, was it July 6th?
A lot of things are happening on July 6th.
What is happening on July 6th?
Well, your episode drops.
Yes.
Stacey's starting 4 o'clock faculty book club.
It's like the official start of like summer vacation for some people, I guess, right?
I don't know who's waiting until July 6th to start summer vacation.
After the 4th of July, and I don't know. Kind of like everything, kind of like it starts. Think, okay. You take a breath.
I know July 3rd is a big day on like all streaming.
July 3rd that's gonna be sick.
Hamilton, Babysitters Club. I can't wait
about that.
What about the Babysitters Club?
Yeah, why not?
Babysitters Club is coming out on Netflix. Mm-hmm. So tell your wives, because I know they're about my age and they probably read that book.
Books.
Those books.
Well, I am looking forward to Hamilton.
I agree.
I'm sure an old friend of the podcast and our life, Danny Kennis, is like losing her mind about Hamilton and being able to see the original Broadway cast. Shout out to Danny.
Danny. Yeah, I'm very excited for that one, to be honest with you. That's something that I've wanted to see. I never actually had an opportunity. I actually never listened to the soundtrack either. I'm not a big soundtrack person.
None of it?
Oh, no, never.
I don't think it's called the soundtrack, though.
Yes, it is.
Sure it is.
No, I think it's called the original cast recording.
I would say the original Broadway cast recording.
Soundtrack.
No, a soundtrack is for a movie.
Okay. Sorry.
Just saying.
I never listened to it. Heard pieces of songs, but I'm just more excited. I want to see it all together.
I'm excited
Smack
too.
me in the face.
What is that?
Oh, we have new sound effects, Stacey.
Oh, yes.
Apparently.
Yes, there's a lot of them.
No,
Smack me in the face.
I saw Lin-Manuel
Wonderful.
one of the weird shows that I watch, and they talked about how they actually filmed the whole thing, and like they did it over 3 days and with 2 different live audiences, and then like one of them was just rehearsals of like the
It's like when they film a
close-ups.
Netflix comedy special. They edit together the best of all the footage.
That's hot.
I think so.
That's my gift for you tonight.
Is that Dan?
No, it's Al.
That's
Oh,
Al.
that's
Little Al.
A little.
where's Al?
Who knows?
Jordan Sunday.
Al, are
night.
you out there? Cool. Also happening on July 6th. I think, unless you guys tell me no, I think we were going to give another go with our Podcast PD over the summer in our Podcast PD Voxer group, just where we can have conversation about podcasts we're listening to. We'll throw out recommendations. If you're not a part of the Podcast PD Voxer group and you still use Voxer and want to join in, go to podcastpd.com/Voxer. And if you do that on your phone and you've got the Voxer app installed, that should take you to our group. If it doesn't, that means I screwed something up. Sorry. Just reach out to one of the 3 of us and we can add you to that group. And over the last couple of summers, we, on a weekly basis, will recommend an episode to listen to, and we facilitate some conversation around that episode or a theme. So we're looking forward to bringing you that starting on Monday, July 6th. So that'll be fun.
It always is.
That sounds fun.
Always is good. And you can also probably catch us on Instagram. We talked about doing a couple Instagram lives where we can have those conversations with people, whether it's us talking or if somebody wants to jump in with us for the conversation, we can do that. So we'll see you there as well.
I still have to
We got
learn
a
more
fan
about
out there
Instagram.
loving the Summer Voxer PD. I'm sorry, Stacey, what'd you say?
So I still have to learn more about Instagram. Like
You're
I literally
doing good.
only
You're
use-
posting stories.
No, I reposted someone's story. Like I repost our stories.
That's good. You post
Yeah,
your
but
own
I
pictures.
don't think
You're
I've
a
ever
girl.
posted my own story, and I only ever post pictures of my runs or paddling. Which
I'm a big
today
fan
I
of the
found that I
flamingos.
paddle illegally all over the state of New Jersey, which is great.
Were you paddling today? And I believe this morning you said you were going to be out on the water.
I was. We went. Doug took the day off from the boat, and we went out. The boys went kayaking, and I went paddling. We were out for like almost 2 hours.
That's cool.
Yeah, we went to Assunpink.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
It
what that
is a very large lake. There are 3 of them in the same park, but only one of them is called Assunpink. That's where we were. But apparently, I'm not supposed to paddle in there. You can edit this all out so that we don't acknowledge the fact that I know this for sure. But I do know this now.
You're live. You're live on YouTube there, Stacey. So
It's fine. But
just
when we
do
got
people
home
from there.
is when I found out, and then I found out some of the other places that I paddle. I'm also not supposed to paddle. But here's the thing I don't understand. I don't understand how my paddle
As
board
long
is
as you're
any
not going into the drinking water reservoir.
right. Well, but I don't even understand that. Like anywhere where someone can put their kayak, I don't understand why I can't put my paddleboard there. Unless I can if I bring a fishing pole and I'm fishing. What is the difference? It's the same watercraft.
Huh.
Right,
I don't know.
so
Thoughts with
I'm like,
Stacey
you know what?
Lindis.
Then maybe I get a fishing license. I get a stick and pretend that I'm fishing using a stick. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
don't know. how
Anybody
to
else imagining Stacey walking on her paddleboard with a stick, fishing? some twine and a paperclip hanging off the end.
It'd be more believable if I was doing yoga on my board. Although that would be funnier because I would fall in for sure.
And you don't know how to swim.
But and I don't swim. I know how to.
Yeah, she didn't say she didn't know how to swim. She said she just doesn't like to swim.
I don't like swimming. Yeah, I have a vest. Well, I have a flotation device. It's not even a vest; it's a belt.
You have the swimmies.
No, it's a belt. It's so that it's lower profile, so that you don't have the vest up here when you're actually moving your arms and stuff.
Understood.
Let me know when you bring the paddleboard out my way.
Well, yeah, I need to figure out where I can go now.
You can come paddle in the Shark River.
Doug has said that he has found some sharks on the coast of Belmar, so I'm not sure that I'm going to be doing that.
There's no sharks in the Shark River. It's just a name.
I get it, but if they're on the coast of Belmar in the Atlantic Ocean, and the Atlantic Ocean is
there's also dolphins off the coast
Shark
of Belmar.
River, just saying.
Don't worry. The sharks over there are going to eat up all the people on the beach in Belmar.
I don't know. Now, Shark River sounds good. L Street Beach is always nice.
And by the way, for those listening, that's not so she can come paddleboard with me. She can go paddleboard with my wife.
Kate.
I do not paddleboard.
I was going to say, Kate needs to tell me where she goes. Because I know she paddles. She helped me a lot when I was getting my board and stuff 3 years ago.
And you posted that board on Instagram a few days ago, and it's a very nice board.
Thanks. I love that thing. That was my Mother's Day / anniversary gift 3 years ago. Since it's the same weekend.
That's right. Nice.
Anyway.
So do we have any podcast recommendations that we want to go through? You guys listening to anything? What are you learning?
I've added 2, but haven't listened.
Oh.
Well, I've added more than 2. Like,
AJ's doesn't count.
No, I added AJ's a while ago. No, I added 2 other ones that I don't know if they've been brought up, but I'll mention one tonight, and then one maybe we can like recommend for the listening group. But I started listening to Code Switch on NPR. There was an episode that dropped in the. Did you guys talk about this already?
No, I'm aware of Code Switch. So
yes,
I know it's a good podcast.
I mentioned it a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah, so
there was an episode that got dropped into all of the feeds that we happen to hear. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and that's the one that I listened to, and so I added that as part of my regular listening. I just haven't listened yet, but there's a couple of episodes that I went back and downloaded as well that I'm going to start listening to. Anyway, that's my suggestion. You guys?
Nice. While AJ gets ready to share his, I'm not going to share mine, but I do want to remind everybody that if you are getting value from Podcast PD, you can support the show by becoming an executive producer, where you can support the show financially. We are powered by glow.fm. If you go to podcastpd.com/executive producer, you can support the podcast. And those who support the show, we actually have here on the visual side, we have some brand new stickers, Podcast PD executive producer stickers. Everybody who supports the show at any level gets the sticker. And if you commit to supporting this show upfront for 12 months, we will also send you a Podcast PD mug and a t-shirt. Now, Stacey, you are rocking the new Podcast PD t-shirt. If you could, just hike up the front of the shirt there for the YouTube audience. There you go. So Stacey rocks it in purple because purple's her favorite color. AJ rocks it in black because, well, he's a dark son of a... And I got it in light blue because I like blue. So, yeah, we have lots of options. If you're interested in supporting the show and you get value from this thing we call professional development in podcast form, go to podcastpd.com/executive producer, and we'd love to have your support. AJ, what have you been learning?
So there's been a lot of podcasts I've been trying to listen to. So I've been listening to like little bits and pieces of a whole bunch of different podcasts because I haven't really time to legitimately listen to a full episode. But one I did kind of get caught up on, the Daily Stoic. So the idea, the Daily Stoic is from Ryan Holiday, who's the author of Ego is the Enemy. And what's the other one? Oh, I can't remember his other book that he wrote. He's written a lot of books, but Ego is the Enemy is a big obstacle is the way. That's another one. So the idea of stoicism and like bringing your calm to your life and trying to think like the Stoics did from early history. I've kind of been enjoying his podcast during the week. His podcast is quick snippets of like how you can live your life. So not like so much meditation, but just kind of finding ways that you can relax and calm your mind and practice the ideas of stoicism. So one episode that I really loved and I shared with you, Chris, because you are a big fan, and it all comes back to this, right? The Art of Manliness, which if you've never listened to The Art of Manliness, it is not just about manliness. It's just part of the title. And he actually goes on and talks about the name of the podcast The Art of Manliness in this episode with Ryan Holiday. And, the episode really just kind of pinpoints a lot of thoughts and a lot of beliefs of how you can become a better person. I really kind of caught on to this episode because it talks a lot about parenthood and being a dad and the things he does with his kids. So it was a good episode between Ryan Holiday and our guy Brett. So I'm finding a lot of value in the Daily Stoic podcast. Kind of makes me want to look at Ryan Holiday's books a little more. So I think I might be a Stoic before you know it.
AJ, do you have the Calm? Like, do you have a subscription to Calm, the Calm app?
Nope.
No, because he just showed up in my email and on the app. He has like a whole masterclass that he has on Stoicism.
Yeah.
So it's Stoicism for the modern life.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't listened, but that's on my to-do list as well because I've been getting back into my mindfulness and my daily meditations.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I'm really kind of loving his ideas. So I've looked into the master classes. One actually is about like parenthood, and especially like to the dads, because he actually shares a podcast with Brett called The Daily Dad. So dads out there, if you're looking for like, I don't know, the affirmation, I guess, that you're doing an okay job as a dad, because sometimes, you think I'm not doing my job as a dad. This might be a good place to start. Quick podcast during the week. So enjoy it. Well, I gave you like 3 recommendations there. Boom.
Very sneaky. Before I share mine, we do have our, again, episodes that we're going to be coming at you with through the summer. So again, some things that we're going to be talking about. And if you want to get us your thoughts on these in advance, you can go to podcastpd.com/feedback. You can send us a voice message. You can send us an email, fill out a form, however you want to get in touch with us, you can. But some upcoming topics. When we come back to you on July 12th, we're going to be talking about questions that schools should consider for the upcoming 2020-2021 school year. And I know in advance I'm going to have a lot to say because I got a lot of questions that I don't think I have answers to. And so that'll be fun to talk about. On July 26th, we're going to be talking about changing and adapting to the quote unquote new normal in education. And then in August, we're going to, as we typically do, we're going to look ahead to the upcoming school year from our perspective. We tend to make predictions and kind of see what might happen. Do you guys remember back last year when we predicted like pandemic and distance learning?
That was the first thing on the list.
We were so on point last year when we made predictions for this.
We knew.
We nailed it. And then we'll have our back to school special on August 23rd as we then really ramp up and get excited for whatever this coming school year is going to look like. So come out on those Sundays, July 12th, 26th, August 9th, and August 23rd, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, podcastpd.com/live. If you can't make it, send us your thoughts. We'll be happy to share them here in the live broadcast and in the podcast side of things. And again, we're about community and making you a part of what we do. As much as we are a 3-headed monster, we're a very friendly 3-headed monster. And, we believe in community. So that's my advertisement for the summer. And for my recommendation, I went down the history rabbit hole, and I've talked about Throughline from NPR in the past. And their June 18th episode is titled Why 2020 Isn't Quite 1968. So here's the description for that episode. Protests, racial divisions, political polarization, and a law and order president. It's easy to draw comparisons between 2020 and 1968. But Adam Serwer, who covers politics at The Atlantic, says that a much better point of comparison actually starts a century earlier in 1868. On this episode of Throughline, we share an episode that we loved from a podcast called It's Been a Minute with Sam Sanders that explores a moment when white Republicans fought for years for the rights of Black Americans before abandoning them to pursue white voters. So certainly I love Throughline as a history teacher because I love the concept of the through line of being able to trace something back to different points in history to see, as they say on the show, how we got to where we are today with any number of topics. So again, fantastic podcast. And this is an episode from another show, but it was really good and certainly makes you think, as any good podcast will make you do. Like when you listen to this one, you think, why am I listening to this? No.
Hopefully it makes me better thoughts.
Yes. So that's my recommendation.
It was the June 18th one, Chris?
Yes. Again, the title is Why 2020 Isn't Quite 1968. Which might lead you to subscribe to a podcast called It's Been a Minute with Sam Sanders.
Cool.
Stacey, what's your number?
Well, since I added a few just now, I'm at 1974.
How?
Which is good because this morning I was at 1977. And
What?
I deleted stuff. I know. I deleted stuff.
There you go. Okay. You deleted. All right. Good for you. Good.
I did. I deleted a lot.
I
figured, you know what? Like, unless someone gets rid of their RSS feed with their podcast, I can always go back and listen to something.
That's right. That's
when I have time. Right? So there are other things that I need to get rid of, but
we've talked for a couple of years about maybe devoting part of an episode to us going through what you listen to, and AJ and I could be like,
like an intervention.
Spike it or like it. If we like it, you keep it. If we spike it, you delete it.
Some of them only have so I still have like 5 a.m. Miracle on here, which I haven't listened to in over a year.
But there's some great episodes in there.
He's had some good ones recently.
Right. And I have 3 episodes on there that I definitely want to listen to. But, like an hour and 11 minutes just seems like a long time to listen to him when he's not my favorite
Overcast
person.
gal. Speed that up.
I know. I'm just saying. Can I tell you, I did that with our governor this week. I knew he was on air. I was like, I don't want to listen to him live with Dr. Repollet and all that. And I was like, I'll wait until it's all over. I went in. He was like putting back on his mask and making his closing remarks. I was like, oh, good. This is almost over. And then I watched it at 1.5. And I could do everybody at 1.5 except for Dr. Repollet, who speaks like he's from New Jersey with a very fast cadence to his voice. And I was like, I have to slow him down. He was good at 125.
I listen to live so I can yell at everybody on TV.
No.
Government stuff aside, I noticed that when I listen to podcasts on Overcast, I listen at 1.5 with the smart speed and all that. When I listen to myself, and again, I quality control, whether it's this one or, House of Ed Tech, I listen to them on Overcast in the car or whatever. And I always feel like I'm talking really fast. But when I listen to other people and if I ever slow it down to 1, it's like, what are we doing? And they sound normal to me on 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
I find that
to myself and I feel like I'm Alvin.
Even at 1, Chris.
Say it again.
I find that you're slow even at 1. I do. If you're at 1, I'm like, and AJ, I was listening to you and I was like, I can't, I try everybody at 1. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt that I might be able to handle them at their normal speaking speed. And I'm like, nope, this is too slow for me. But I had a parent, not this year, but when I taught first grade, after back to school night, say to me, do you always speak that quickly? Because I think my child is going to have some difficulties.
That's funny.
I was like, this is Jersey. I don't understand. I don't know. People do not speak slowly in New Jersey. They don't do anything slowly in New Jersey, but
that's why I would never make it in the South.
Oh gosh, no.
People drive too slow and they walk too slow. Excuse me.
And they speak. Okay.
I have talked about that before.
Honey?
You leave this state and you go on you go on 95 south. You leave New Jersey. My God, it's like people they don't know where the gas pedal is, and they're in the left lane. But anyway.
I'm from New York, so just.
Hey. Speaking of A, what's coming up on Reflect Ed, my friend?
Yeah, I have no idea. No, I'm just kidding. Episode 3, which will be released on July 6th, will be a reflection on my first year as a district leader. I don't need my title, whatever it is. Supervisor and a reflection. Did I meet my goals? How'd I do? How'd you do since his reflection? That's where we're going to go with episode 3, July 6th.
Like it.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I know a lot of people are loving your show. I love it.
It's good. I like that
Appreciate
one.
it. Thank you. Okay, now you're making me blush.
Ready? AJ, watch what I'm going to do here. Ready?
Don't do it.
Stacey, when are you starting the Stacey Linda show?
Oh.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no. That's an easy no. She's hard. She doesn't even want. She didn't want to do this.
AJ, if I asked you 3 years ago when you starting your own podcast, you probably laughed at me when I said it.
That's not
true.
Here
you are.
That's not true because you knew at one point it was going to happen like 2 years ago, but I didn't have it.
Yeah. AJ has things to say. I have things that I want to hear other people say. And I want to eat.
You had a lot to say tonight.
I can't do that.
I know who my next target is. Hello,
Good.
Derek.
Get Joe Juba to do it. What'd you say?
I said, hello, Derek.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Or Joe. Joe would be a great podcast host.
You know what? We did have fun doing that little morning talk show. I don't know. We'll find a way to make that happen. But yeah.
I could see him doing something kid centered, like
yeah,
conversations with kids and
yeah. Well, when we get back to school and I get all that equipment set up again, I will. I tried to pitch him last year to have the peer. He teaches the peer leaders in the high school, and I tried to get the peer leaders to do a student hosted show as a resource, and because they did a lot of stuff where they came in as seniors into the freshman classes to work with the freshmen, and kind of not big brother, big sister, but they did some like motivational stuff. So that was an angle I worked. So I will continue to push because I'm a pusher.
Do it.
Push it.
no.
All right. Are we done with episode 78?
I think we are.
All right. Well, for the first time in some time, Stacey.
Wait, what have you guys done?
Chris did it.
Yeah, I would like to firmly say
same.
I am no Stacey Lindis.
Nah. You're too tall.
Too tall.
Too
don't
male.
have the magic. I don't have the right touch.
All right.
People don't like me.
I have to go back
People
and listen.
can't stand me.
Well, on that note, it's time
Chris,
to say
I absolutely hate you. Chris, I absolutely hate you. Chris, I absolutely hate you.
Stop. All right. Well, time to do the magic then.
Wait, hold on. We forgot something, Stacey. Now, I already edited the outro music to the episode, but you're a little bit different on the internet now. So real quick, before we do the magic, while you're not chewing potato chips, laughing at me because I called out the fact that you're munching on Pringles or whatever, Stacey, you have a new identity. Please.
I do.
Reveal yourself to the world.
I do. So while I'm running a lot more than I have in the last few years, which is where the I Run Tech came from, not really involved with tech as much as I used to be. So I just decided to change my Twitter handle. And so now I'm at Stacey Lindis on Twitter. I'm going to keep Instagram the same because I am doing a lot more running there. And I don't know. I'm not ready to give it up there. There's still a lot more I Run Tech that is out there. But on Twitter, you can find me at Stacey Lindis. And my first name, for anyone who wants to spell it incorrectly, is Stacey. And it matters. Yeah.
I felt that was the best Stacey running sound effect.
I changed it, yeah.
So you were at.
You didn't
Stacey
notice right
Lindis?
away, and you're still like some of the things that you tweet are still tagging at Urban Tech, but that's fine because I still have that. That is still my account as well.
Right. So maybe next time, maybe you can provide a little PD on how one changes their Twitter handle. So stay tuned for that coming up in a couple weeks because Lord knows I've seen people screw it up, and you apparently did it effectively. So
yeah, we'll talk about that for sure.
By the way, the things where you're saying I mistweeted you is because those are auto tweets. So I just have to go back and fix those episode titles, and I have to get on the guy who does all my work. So
that guy.
Oh, that guy. So Stacey, anyway, back to the magic.
Back to the magic. It is time to say goodbye. Say goodbye, Christopher.
Goodbye, Christopher.
Say goodbye, AJ.
Goodbye, AJ.
Goodbye, PodcastPD. Bye.
All right, so that'll be a little silent gap. We're still on YouTube, but thank you to the people who came out to watch us live tonight. Thank you to Stephanie and Dan and MTHS9_10VP. Thanks for checking us out on Periscope. And we'll be back on, July 12th?
MTHS. Who is it? So it's vice principal.
That would be the Twitter handle. So we'll go find out who you are. And
that's your Twitter handle?
I guess.
Is it?
I don't
forgot.
know. Who's MTA? Who is it?
I don't know. I'm gonna find out.
All right, we'll find out. Anyway, so we'll be back live on Sunday, July 12th. Hope everybody has a nice 4th of July weekend. Happy birthday to my wife, but I'll tell her that personally. But why not throw it out on the internet, because she's a July 4th baby.
Oh, that's fun.
So
happy birthday to you.
They're gone, guys.
Happy birthday. So what do you got there? Kettle Classics? All right, nobody wants to hear us eat chips. So we'll see you all in a couple of weeks. Thanks for joining us. Peace.